Hello, Morris, contains invest. We talk about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's systems only, the investment I'm going to talk today will be Ethereum to ETH. So it's my first video on Saturday today. Just want to say good morning, good evening, and good night, by the way. Respect to recording time of 9:09 a.m. on the Eastern Time. Ethereum currently trading $4,314, down about 2.37% so far. On the overall crypto market, besides Shiba Inu, which seems like the sell-off is still continuing, which makes logical sense. We've surged collectively, on the Wednesday 30 something percent, and then on a Thursday 70-ish percent. So that's a relatively large buying pressure. So today's a weekend, and we have a Halloween weekend coming up on Sunday as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're gonna see more sell-off, especially. We've seen how animated and frankly fabricated the technical looks, right? The outliers are screaming off the page. And on top of the fact, despite the sell-off that we've incurred so far, we're still overbought on all technical levels. So, investors, mainly, again, on the public side, is to take some profit wouldn't be that, not logical, right? I think it's a perfectly healthy and natural thing people are doing. People don't want to be holding, or feel volatile type of emotional, gut wrenching feeling during the weekend, right? So seeing more sell off on the Shiba Inu side wouldn't be surprising to me. And also on top of the fact that why are we selling off on some of the key coins right now? It's not really because there's anything negative that's popping off the news. It's because of the lack thereof news that we're seeing on Saturdays. Saturdays is typically, the weekend affectation, right? People don't want to be worrying about their financial assets during the weekend. They want to be taking profits and enjoy the profits gain that they have made during that week so they could chill with their friends and family and not having to worry about it, right? And they will come back into it on Monday typically, right? It's like a job, technically as an investor, right? So you don't want to be worrying about that. It's like kind of going out, but you have like your finals coming up in college or in school. And like for me, I used to be worried about like, oh man, if I don't study enough or study more or make sure that I completely feel comfortable, I will have that guilty feeling. And people don't want to get that guilty feeling. So I guess that's part of the reasons why you see some sell off, but also because of the real reason. The media affectation is less active this morning, right? Saturdays are typically, journalists have to take a break too, right? And we should technically see more active news as Sunday begins, when China or overseas start to percolate again, towards the later part of the afternoon on the East Coast. That's when, some more volatility could be in place. But right now, we're selling down is because of lack of news or lack of positive news that's pumping up or lack of negative news that's pumping us down. So that's why we're just kind of hovering on a sideways fashion, right? So let's take a look at the news. There isn't, again, right, not a lot of news, right? The first one is talk about Bitcoin as a third weekly close above 60K as Ethereum fuels a new altcoin market cap record. So this is something that we've been talking about. Bitcoin is currently sustaining above the $61,000 mark, down about 1.15%, while Ethereum is currently hovering on a sideways fashion as well, respectively, down about 3% because obviously the entry price in terms of price sensitivity is less compared to Bitcoin for obvious reasons, right? Relatively different digits, and it's going to be more prominent being displayed by the smaller coins, right? Which Shiba Inu is currently down about 7.22% right now, while on the overall market, with a bulk of the altcoin, I would say it's just kind of trading on a sideways fashion, right? Beside Dogecoin, which makes sense to see more sell-off again, right? So Bitcoin is going to be a key market indicator. If they break the 60, which we saw a couple of times like during this week, that could be, the technical indicating some sort of a negative foreshadow coming, right? And especially there isn't any specific catalyst that's coming beside the FOMC and the CPI report, which have some triangulations around the market dynamics, but it's not the direct correlation, right? It's going to be driving the entire market rather than just crypto specifically. So it's kind of a mixed bag, and I think the FOMC meeting is going to be quite binary. It's just basically indicating the economical outcome with respect to Jerome Powell's mandate on the job numbers and how he's going to be maneuvering through with the quantitative tapering plan going forward, right? Which we've been talking about this for 6-7 months so far, right? And then the next one's on Fortune magazine 15 hours ago, so relatively still old news, like half a day ago. Robinhood investors falls out of love with Dogecoin. So I don't know what that really means. It's basically talking about the Shiba Inu surge in comparisons to the Dogecoin surge. I think it's just more about media affectation, right? Again, right? Shiba was pumped because of the couple elements, right? And I think we can talk about this in chronological order. Media affectation, subsequently whale buying, right? Because of the indicator of the buying pressure on the news, and then public investors FOMO in. And then with that correlation effect, with this happening like this in this order, it's going to drive buying pressure, right, across the market. And when the media front is so hyped on all fronts, it's going to drive euphoria. And especially with the price showing the prominent surge on a percentage perspective, investors going to come in, obviously, right? And that's what happened. And the same thing happened for Dogecoin as a subsequent effect, right? So it's not like they fell out of love. It's just this is more of a spin of a title, more of a clickbait, if you may. And then the last news that I see here is on CNBC. Talk about this crypto investors. Since he just lost 670,000 on the dog-inspired DeFi project. So this is a wake-up call for this guy named Brian Nguyen. I think I'm saying this last name correctly. He invested into a dog-related coin that is not Dogecoin or Shiba Inu. It's one of those coins that looks like a dog. And he thought that with the hype of the dog-related theme, crypto pump that we've been experiencing so far, that could technically be a good hedge, right? And next thing you know, he lost close to $500,000 on that. Obviously, chasing the pump type of affectation, right? So not the most ideal situation, and we all learn from a lesson: never gamble when you're not sure about the business fundamental and the value proposition of the assets you're buying, right? And I think this is the perfect lesson for it, right? So let's just dive into the technicals now. Right now, we are down about 2.57%. We are forming a curvature right now with 62 out of 70. So right now it's being sustained because of the Bitcoin affectation and because of the lack of news that we're seeing right now. But we know there isn't any substance below these levels, right? The real level is basically at the next level is the 3845 if we break the 4,000, and then 3475 if we break the subsequent level. But I think ideally, because of the fact we still overbought, we need to cool down all the way down. And I think at the bare minimum would be 3475 to 3150. Bitcoin is just holding on to the cliff right now, basically. We are still relatively dragged down. On top of the fact that, let's see what is the RSI? It's not really indicating for some reason. I think this app is lagging. Let me see. There we go. We are at the 60 out of 70. So still overbought. So ideally cooling back down to the 54 to the 52 would be much more logical, right? And because of the fact that there is no gap here at all in between for us to sustain the current level. So incurring the risk right now, the risk versus reward ratio is not the most favorable for you. Dogecoin looks really abnormal, right? And for the right reasons, right? Because of the media affectation pump and the Shiba Inu affects as well. So right now we're forming a well-back curvature. We are at the 60 out of 70. So ideally coming back down to earth to 24 to 20 cents for Dogecoin would be much more logical level. Cardano right now, I think that right now we're just reversing back down. We're 39 out of 70, so it's not a bad level. Ideally, the level as we hit the 190 to 187 would be a good dip for us. Solana right now we are forming a curvature downward. We're still overbought. So ideally, as we cross, we're gonna come back down to 154 to the 133, and then 113 would be much more logical level to dollar cost average at. XRP right now we have the 50 out of 70. Right now we are just basically bouncing up and down like a ping pong ball. It's either 110 or 101. If we break 101, we go to 93, which we got there on Thursday, I believe. No, Wednesday specifically on the 27th. So I think right now is a strong level to watch. I think incurring some risk at the 101 is not a bad idea, and then incurring some risk at 88 cents is not a bad idea either, because we're relatively depleted on an overall scale in comparison to the other ones. Polkadot right now, we are at the 60 out of 70. We have a long gap to be filled. So ideally buy somewhere below at the, I wouldn't touch this until we hit 25, but if you want to incur some risk at the $30, it's not a bad idea. And Algorand, we are curving down right now. We're at the 51. So ideally buy at the, again, 160 to 150 would be a better level. Shiba Inu right now is being sustained, and I think we are going to form some sort of a wedge coming. This is basically public investors consolidating. Not a good sign. We're pumped up so many times already. I don't suggest testing your luck again and again. I foresee this kind of be a wedge, how the escalator is going to be. I think we are going to form like an upper escalator, not going to be a downward escalator, right? And as we form a more upward escalator, try to keep like going back to the all-time high that we were at before, eventually the balloon will pop as we hit the apex. And as we hit the apex, we're going to sell down all the way back down here. So Shiba Inu is not a good setup right now. I think we are at the early stage of forming an upward wedge at the moment, especially the technical confirms that we're overbought on all levels. So with respect to risk management level, as we deplete back to the RSI below 35, and as we form that golden cross preliminarily, on the cusp of the cross section, this are the level would be, for me personally, $2 cost average, right? I don't suggest chasing at the current level right now because there are some mixed signals around the coin market at the moment. But I think on the overall spectrum is still bearish. In a short term, we need to cool down a little bit, but long term wise, we should technically keep rallying up because we are still in a bull cycle. So it doesn't make sense for us to completely sell all the way down for now. But I think it needs to cool down a little bit more at a more of a palatable risk management levels, and these are the levels for you to rest invest, right? So really appreciate you for stopping by again, and stay tuned for some come up. Take care.